Hi, Dr. Versalotti here. I wanted to talk a little bit more about noun phrases, and we're going to start with looking at determiners with the prototypical determiner articles. Our learning objectives are to review the structure of noun phrases in English, including identifying the underlying linguistic patterns, review the prototypical determiners in English, articles. I just wanted to talk a little bit about terms. Grammarians, people who study grammar, often use different terms than linguists, and there are valid reasons for each of the terms. But as a result, we in this class, as maybe perhaps instructors of grammar, but also using a linguistic perspective, we have to navigate both and understand the context and the reasons for each. And the reasons will become more clear as we get more into the content. One of those differences are the linguistic terms word category or syntactic category as opposed to the grammatical term part of speech. Now these are almost synonymous, which is good for this situation. But other terms like morpheme is a linguistic term that might not have an analogous word in grammar books. But we can see that there's, morphemes are smaller than words, but maybe bigger in a sense than syllables. So there's a reason why linguists want to use morphemes, even if grammar books maybe don't talk about that in the same way. So what do we mean by word category or syntactic category? These are words like nouns, verb, adjective, adverbs, preposition. A word category and syntactic category are pretty much synonymous. Those two different terms just reflect a difference in the linguist's framework. If the words part of speech inherently includes its category, or if that is maybe better understood outside of the word and in the phrase or sentence structure. Okay, so now that we went through those terms, let's look more into noun phrases. So here's some nice easy noun phrases: the book, the car, the answer, or we might say a book, a car, an answer. Now we would, on the left, these are noun phrases with the definite article, and on the right, these are noun phrases that have the indefinite article. Now you might notice that the forms are exactly the same for the definite article, but there's a little difference in the articles in the right column. So even though a and an have a slightly different form or expression, we would conclude that they are the same morpheme, in this case the same grammatical word, because they have the same meaning, the same use, and they are clearly related forms. So linguists might say there are two articles, the meaning the definite article and meaning the indefinite article, even though the indefinite article has two forms. Grammar books, however, might say we have three articles in English. Linguists see that, want to emphasize that a and an are used the same way. So they emphasize that the similarity. Okay, so which English article do we want to use? As native speakers, we often just know which one we want to use. So, but as linguists, we want to study it in a more abstract or detached way. And the reason we want to do this is so that we can help others who maybe don't have some intuitive knowledge about which to use. So we have to kind of put on a meta thinking hat. And the choice between definite and indefinite often comes down to, as Yule 2009 would say, if you want to classify the referent or identify the referent. Though the word referent refers to, in linguistics, just whoever we're referring to, whatever noun in the real world or even the made-up world that we're referring to. So if we want to classify the referent, we're just saying, hey, I'm talking about a thing which is part of the group book, right? I'm classifying, I'm naming it as belonging to a class of objects, the set of all the books in the world. And that's what that first figure represents. There's a lot of books in the world, and I'm referring to one of that set. Not being specific, it's indefinite which one I'm referring to. I'm just classifying the set. When I identify using the definite article, I am referring to the referent, the noun, as it is distinct from other members of that set, that class of that object. I'm saying, hey, I'm talking about a specific one of these, a specific book, and I would use the definite article, the book. If I said to you, I bought a book, you would know that I bought one of the set of all the books in the world, but you wouldn't know which one inside that set. But if I said, hey, I bought the book, I am referring to a very specific one that you and I must have talked about or we discussed previously. In some way, we have a specific one in mind. And as I just said with that previous example, when we say I bought a book, although I know what book I bought, I know what specific one I bought, usually, the speaker knows that the listener doesn't yet know which book I mean. But if I say I bought the book, or any noun phrase with a definite article, the speaker knows that the listener has that shared knowledge of the referent. It's clear to both the speaker and the listener what I'm referring to. Okay, now let's look at some more. So we have, these are the same noun phrases, but I added some here. Would we say, I had to pay for an electricity, or I have a sand? Well, there seems to be some sort of restriction on the use of the indefinite article in some noun phrases. We can say the electricity went out and I put my feet in the sand, right? There are those nouns can be with the definite article, but there seems to be some restriction on the use of the indefinite article in some noun phrases. Now keep in mind, you notice that the and situation is not the root of the problem because it happens to both forms of the indefinite article. And the pattern seems to be that we generally don't use the classifying function with mass, also known as non-count nouns. The asterisk, as a reminder in linguistics, when it's before a phrase or a sentence, means that there's something ill-formed about it. It's linguistically marked. We don't want to say incorrect, but there's something a little bit unusual or restricted or strange. And when I have the asterisk and the question mark, that's saying that maybe there is it is marked in some way as unusual, but maybe we could come up with a way that it could work. So maybe I went to a landscape place and they had lots of different kinds of sand, and I came home with black sand. So I might say, if I created this whole complex storyline, I could say I went and bought a sand to put in my backyard. Again, it feels still a little bit weird, but maybe we could make it work. So that is some things that we notice about noun phrases. The important thing being that linguists recognize that there are two articles, the definite article, and the indefinite article. And the indefinite article has two forms, but we consider it the same article.